Have you ever had a brilliant idea, only to realize the world just wasn't ready for it? Well, you're in good company. Throughout history, some of the most groundbreaking inventions were met with confusion, ridicule, or just plain indifference, all because they were simply ahead of their time. Today we're diving into 5 incredible inventions that were so far ahead of the curve, they had to wait decades, or even centuries, for the rest of us to catch up. From Renaissance sketches to forgotten tech, get ready to have your mind blown. Let's kick things off with a name everyone knows, Leonardo da Vinci. We think of him as the painter of the Mona Lisa, but he was also a prolific inventor. Centuries before the Wright brothers took their first flight, da Vinci was already sketching out detailed plans for flying machines. One of his most famous designs is the ornithopter, a device intended to fly by flapping its wings just like a bird. He meticulously studied the anatomy of birds and bats to understand the principles of flight. His notebooks are filled with complex diagrams of wings, gears, and pulley systems, all designed to get a human airborne. He even designed a prototype for a helicopter, his aerial screw, which looks surprisingly similar to modern designs. So, why didn't Renaissance Italy fill up with flying men? Well, the materials and power sources of the 15th century just weren't up to the task. Da Vinci lacked a lightweight engine powerful enough to lift his contraptions off the ground. His concepts were brilliant, but the technology to build them simply didn't exist. It took another 400 years for humanity to finally conquer the skies, proving that Da Vinci's vision was, quite literally, centuries ahead of its time. Next up, we jump to the late 19th and early 20th centuries to talk about another legendary inventor, Nikola Tesla, while his rival, Thomas Edison, was championing direct current, or DC. Tesla was a visionary of alternating current, AC, which is the system we use to power our homes today. But he had an even bigger, more radical idea: wireless energy transmission. Imagine a world with no power cords, where your phone, your laptop, your entire house is powered wirelessly through the air. That was Tesla's dream. He built a massive experimental station called Wardenclyffe Tower in Long Island, New York. This colossal structure was designed to be the first of a global system that could transmit electricity and information wirelessly across the planet. Tesla believed he could use the Earth itself as a conductor, sending energy through the ground and the atmosphere to be picked up by receivers anywhere. Unfortunately, the project was incredibly expensive. His primary investor, J.P. Morgan, pulled funding when he realized he couldn't figure out how to meter and charge for electricity that was being broadcast freely through the air. The tower was dismantled, and Tesla's dream of a wireless world died with it. Today, we're just starting to see wireless charging for our phones and devices, a small echo of Tesla's grand, world-changing vision from over a century ago. Now let's fast forward to the digital age, to an invention you might actually remember. In 1993, Apple released a device that was supposed to revolutionize personal computing. It was a handheld gadget with a stylus and a touchscreen that could recognize handwriting, manage your calendar, take notes, and send faxes. Sound familiar? No, it wasn't the iPad. It was the Apple Newton. The Newton was the first personal digital assistant, or PDA, and it was a bold attempt to create a computer that could fit in your pocket. At the time, it was pure science fiction. Apple's CEO John Sculley championed it as the future. However, the technology just wasn't quite there yet. The handwriting recognition was notoriously unreliable, a flaw that was famously mocked in an episode of The Simpsons. The device was also bulky, expensive, and had a short battery life. The market wasn't ready for it, and the Newton was discontinued in 1998, considered one of Apple's biggest failures. But its legacy is undeniable. The core ideas behind the Newton, a portable, touchscreen interface for managing your digital life, laid the groundwork for the iPhone and the iPad, which would launch a decade later and change the world. The Newton didn't fail because it was a bad idea. It failed because it was a great idea that arrived 15 years too soon. Coming in at number 4 is a vehicle that promised to change urban transportation forever. The Segway, unveiled with immense hype in 2001. Inventor Dean Common claimed it would be more significant than the PC. The Segway was a self-balancing, two-wheeled personal transporter that used sophisticated gyroscopes to stay upright. You simply leaned forward to go forward and leaned back to stop. It was an engineering marvel. The media went wild, predicting that cities would be redesigned around these futuristic machines and that walking would become obsolete. So what happened? Why aren't we all gliding to work on Segways? Well, for a few reasons. First, the price was incredibly high, costing around $5,000 at launch, putting it out of reach for the average consumer. Second, the legal framework wasn't there. Cities didn't know how to classify it. Was it a pedestrian vehicle for the sidewalk or a motor vehicle for the road? This confusion led to bans in many public places. Ultimately, the Segway found its niche with police departments, warehouse workers, and, most famously, city tour groups. While it never became the revolutionary personal transport it was meant to be, its self-balancing technology was incredibly influential and can be seen today in the countless hoverboards and electric unicycles zipping around our cities. Finally, we arrive at our 5th invention, an idea so futuristic it's been a staple of science fiction for over half a century. Virtual reality. We think of VR as a recent development, with headsets like the Oculus Rift or the HTC Vive, but the concept, and even the first working prototypes, date all the way back to the 1960s. In 1968, computer scientist Ivan Sutherland created the first head-mounted display, which he ominously named the Sword of Damocles. It was so heavy that it had to be suspended from the ceiling, hanging over the user's head, hence the name. This primitive device could display simple wireframe computer graphics that changed as a user moved their head, creating the first ever immersive virtual world. It was a staggering achievement for its time, but the computing power required was immense, and the hardware was completely impractical for anyone outside a research lab. For the next few decades, VR remained a niche technology, confined to military simulators and high-end academic projects. It took 50 years for computers to become powerful and small enough, and for display technology to become sharp and cheap enough to make consumer VR a reality. Sutherland's vision in the 60s was a perfect glimpse into the future, but it was a future that took half a century to arrive. So there you have it, 5 inventions that were simply born in the wrong era. From Da Vinci's flying machines to the first VR headset, these stories show us that a great idea is only one part of the equation. Timing, technology, and public acceptance are just as crucial. It makes you wonder, what technologies are we looking at today that seem impractical or outlandish, but in 50 or 100 years will be a normal part of everyday life? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into the world of science and technology. See you next time.